Hello, how you doing? This is Gus Tucker here for Financial Freedom Fridays. Hope you're doing well as we're in September. I know I'm up here in Chicago. It's still warm. I hope it's warm where you're at too. And we got a trip planned for this weekend, or at least I do. My brother and I, we're headed out not too long after this show to enjoy the summer, the last parts of summer. But I want to share with you some great information. And, it isn't of any use. It isn't of any use unless you do it, okay? As it says on the bottom of the screen, my whole idea is that you go from knowing to doing. And the same thing is true about myself, okay? And there are things that I'm going to share with you that my family, we're going to get better at and do more of. But I want to challenge you to take the things we talk about today and do something with them, okay? One of the reasons I'm going home is a good friend of mine. I hope nobody's watching. Tells him we're going back for a surprise party for he and his spouse. And they both had some health challenges, and we're glad to have them with us still. And there's another friend of mine that we played ball together. This friend of mine and this other guy, he passed away. And we're all the same age. Okay, so I'm in my early 60s, and when you get there, you go to more funerals than weddings. So the things we're talking about become more and more real to you. One, the older you get, or two, if something happens to you. Okay? So let's go ahead and get started. Okay? So this is Life Insurance Awareness Month, and that's what we're going to be talking about. Okay? Life insurance. Yeah, not a sexy subject, but if you understand it, it'll be real sexy real fast. Okay. Now, why are we doing this podcast and potential classes coming up? What's my motive and intention? It's that you apply the tools, the practical tools and understanding that you get, and you sustain it for multiple generations. I'm going to show you a diagram. Don't be laughing at my little drawing now on my PowerPoint. Don't you laugh at it now. Get the sense behind it. Okay. I got to get this slide redone by a professional down the road, but I just put this together to show it to you. All right. So, but do what it says. What's financial independence about? It's about one day you not having to worry about your financial situation because you have enough assets in play that you don't worry about it anymore. How cool is that going to be? And life insurance should be one of those assets. Financial literacy means applying the financial principles. It's not just knowing it or thinking you know it, but it's applying the principles. I was talking to someone, and they've got a pretty large extended family, and I said, hey, I'm working with families like yours to help them create multi-generational wealth, and would you be interested in learning more about that? And they said no, they needed to do some home remodeling. And I'm like, multi-generational wealth, home remodeling. It's like when you ask your next door neighbor to borrow their lawnmower and they tell you their dog died. What's that got to do with it? Well, it's got to do with they don't want you to borrow their lawnmower. And this person didn't want to talk about this. So they said, yeah, I got to do this home remodeling. I said, well, this isn't about investing any money or spending any money. This is just an educational opportunity for you and your family, just to learn something. And they told me they had it all taken care of. And I said, okay, great. And then I sent them a message that said, so if you ever need any help with wills, trust, powers of attorney, or setting up a private family foundation, let me know. And I just sent it off. And they said, hey, love you. Talk to you soon. Bye. Don't be that person. Okay. I'm learning stuff every day. Learn it, but then apply it. Okay. That's what's going to make the difference in your life. The things we talk about, that you actually apply them. So there are a couple of books I want you to get. We've been talking about this one for a year. Have you bought it yet? Have you read it? Have you bought it yet? Have you read it? So you've got to study wealth and you've got to study yourself. You've got to study wealth and you've got to study yourself. because you got to govern you to make the wealth happen. I've got habits that I still need to change so I can get wealthier faster. Do you understand what I'm saying? The only person standing in the way of you getting wealthy is you. Or in my case, me. Here's the second book I want you to read. Study Wealth, Study Yourself. This book will help you study yourself. Personal development is to have a wealth belief system. It's a critical part of your wealth journey. To have a wealth belief system and mindset is a critical part of your wealth journey. You got cut off. I got to redo that. So read this following book, Ed Milet. Do a search on Ed. Ed came from nothing. I know Ed personally. He came from nothing. I mean, we're not buddy, close friends. I've been to his house before, part of an event. We've chatted before, okay? But look, he came from nothing. At one point in his life, he had an apartment, but the water was turned off. He and his wife would take a shower at an outdoor shower. And he would hold a towel up so she could shower at an outdoor shower by the pool. Now he's worth several $100 million. Why? Because of the things in this book. Get the book, read it. It's real talk. No fluff. It's real talk about how to work with yourself to get yourself to do the things you need to do to create wealth. Because everybody on this podcast can create wealth for themselves. You know, take the financial quiz, get the ebook from me, get the checklist, get the financial needs analysis. These are things that are free that will help you move down the road. More of you, I encourage you to take advantage of this opportunity. Oh, Gus just wants to sell me something. No, here's what Gus wants to do. Gus wants to educate you. And then as a result of your education, you decide to take some different directions than you're taking now. I can help you with it, or somebody else can. Okay? But the key thing is get it done. Get it done. If you save and invest and your net worth grows in the next 5 years as much as it did in the last 5 years, will you be happy or would you want it to be different? Let me say it again. Your net worth, what you own minus what you owe. How has that grown over the last 5 years? Do you know? Are you excited about that? If not, what are you going to change in the next 5 years? That's the kind of stuff we're talking about. Creating wealth for generations. Will your wealth last as long as you do? There's a book called What Would the Rockefellers Do? It talks about two families, the Vanderbilts and the Rockefellers, both who were billionaires at the turn of the 19th century. One family doesn't have any more millionaires in it. They squandered over $1 billion in their net worth in the past 100 years. How does a family go from billions to nothing? Spend more than you earn. Doesn't matter what the number works. That formula works every time for being broke. Spend more than you earn. Your wealth must last as long as you do. Okay? And you got to have a process for doing that, okay? Now, financial goals philosophy. This is what, look, nothing I say here should you take as advice or recommendation. I would just ask you to consider it. What are the two things that can mess up your financial plan going forward? Two things. We talked about it last time. The two things that can really mess up your financial plan is dying or almost dying. Dying or almost dying. You know? And so if you pass away, who's going to write a check to your family for the income they're going to lose over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years? Or if you almost pass away, who's going to replace your income while you rehabilitate? So, in my way of thinking, life insurance is the foundation of your financial plan. Why is that? I need to invest. I need to invest. Okay. How much do you have left at the end of the month to invest? $10,000, $20,000, $50,000. How much do you have left at the end of the month? $100 to $1,000. Well, how much your investment is going to grow? $100 to $1,000 a month plus the growth rate. What growth rate? 10, 12% in the market. If you're a venture capitalist, maybe you're looking for 25, 30%, but that doesn't happen on every deal. Even if it was 30% and you saved $1,000 a month, that's $12,000. Your growth would be $3,600 a year. A life insurance policy, you put a few dollars down, you got hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars of access to capital. Show you we'll talk about what that means in a second. But life insurance is the foundation of your plan. Now I was hoping this video just will not play in here. But the bottom line in that video was, look, African Americans, we're more likely to have life insurance than non-African Americans. 56% of us have life insurance compared to 52% of all Americans. But we're more likely to have just burial insurance. What's that? To cover the funeral. But what about the years of income that were just lost because this person passed away? Let's just say they made the median income in America is $35,000. And let's say your family needed that income for 10, 15 years. That's $350 to $500,000. And you got a $10,000 policy. Well, we're $340,000 short. That's the case with most Black Americans. And to be honest with you, for the most part, most Americans. It's enough to bury them, but not to close the wealth gap. When you compare Black to white folks, well, they have 6 to 8 times more money, more net worth, 6 to 8 times. Why? Yeah, systematic racism. And beyond that, if we take responsibility for what we can, we're not responsible for racism per se. But I know all of you are fighting against it. But we're responsible for what we do with our money. There are some things we can do with the money that we do have to turn this thing around in the next couple generations, if not before. Okay, so one of it is leveraging life insurance for wealth transfer. And we're going to talk about that. But it says, what I hear is my parents said, help me, I'm just going to bury myself, leave every generation to start over. That's not the goal, guys. If Martin Luther King would have thought about that, where would we be at today? He gave his life so we could have a better life. What are you willing to do? 10 reasons to buy life insurance. 1, GoFundMe is not a wealth building strategy. It's not. But it's the number one way people are using when people pass away to try to get money. The average people get is like $3 to $5 grand, just enough to bury somebody. Not the several hundred to $1 million that they need to really keep the family going. So why do you buy life insurance? To ease financial stress for your loved ones, the beneficiaries. Think about this. Okay, if you have dependents in your family, how old are they? If you passed away, could your family keep going the way it is on just the one remaining income? Or would it need both your incomes? What if both of you passed away? What would you do then? Do you have a plan for that? Well, that's never going to happen. I don't say never, because you don't have 100% control over tomorrow. So think about those dependents. How much longer are they going to be dependent on you? In today's world, for children, it can be up to 25 years old at least. So they get their feet under them. So let's say it's 10 years, at 35,000, that's 350 grand. That would ease the stress on your loved ones if something happened to you, to pay ongoing bills. Now, there's a concept now in life insurance that's relatively new. So if you have an old policy, you should Get with a financial professional and find out about living benefits. What's that? If you have something that debilitates you where you can't work, it's not terminal, but it's an accident, an illness of a chronic nature, you can get an accelerated death benefit where you can get the money now, up to 90% of it now, to cover medical expenses and living expenses, even though you're not going to die. Whoa. So wait. Like, we had a client, make a long story short, they bought a policy that was less than $150 a month that he had for less than 2 years, that sent him a check for $440,000 that he could then live on while he was dealing with the cancer. He eventually succumbed to cancer after 2 years or so, but he and his family with 7 children were able to live for that 2 years and now still beyond on the money they got. Where can you take $150 a month and leverage it for $440,000? $150 every month in a premium to get a $400,000. Third reason, to save the family income, right? To make sure that family income is protected. Pay for your child's education. How much is college these days? Why not be able to pay for that? If one of you passes away, you've got enough money to pay for it, right? You won't need student loan forgiveness because you won't need student loans. Protect your business. Half the people in America work for a small business. What's a small business? Under 500 employees. Under 500 employees. Half of Americans work for small businesses. So if you're a small business owner and there are millions of you out there, maybe you need to protect your business by having life insurance. They're called key man policies or key person policies to protect key people in your business, because people impact your profitability and your ability for your business to go forward. To secure your retirement. If you pass away or get disabled or hurt, your ability to contribute to retirement goes away. So how much money you're going to need for retirement? How can you use life insurance to provide that in case something happens to you? How about it? To provide a source of cash during your lifetime. I'm going to show you a policy we call the $1 Million Baby. And we just set one of these up for a gentleman that I met. And I'm using the illustration from his son, who's going to have 7 figures at 65 because of what his dad did for him. Separate and apart from anything he does for himself during his lifetime, he's going to have 7 figures set aside. And he'll be able to use that money on the way to retirement. Okay? To cover end of life expenses. Obviously you can cover your burial expenses. Okay? With this life insurance policy. Leave an inheritance. It says in the book of Proverbs, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. It's not just money. We talked about the 7 different kinds of wealth. Money's just one of them. Okay, but it is one of them. And that's why I was talking to this person about wills and trusts, powers of attorney, and family foundations. Those are the tools, some of them that you need to have in place to make sure you're leaving an inheritance to your children's children in a way that it'll be sustainable throughout the years. So life insurance is a way to do that. Okay? And to give your family more control over their financial future. If you have money, you have more control than if you don't have money. Does that make more sense? What schools you go to? What areas you live in? What school they can go to? Okay, the groups that you network with are dependent on your income, which creates opportunities. Okay, so those are 10 reasons why you ought to have life insurance. Okay, what are some why people don't get it? 1, if I get life insurance and I'll die, Newsflash, you're going to die anyway. Life is a terminal disease. Nobody gets out alive. Even the Queen of England passes away at 96. At some point, everybody goes. Okay? So getting life insurance isn't going to speed it up or slow it down. But what it is going to do is make a difference for the people you leave behind. It's too expensive. Programs can be tailored to meet your budget. Now, it's true. If you're real old and real sick, it's going to be expensive. Why? Because you waited too long. So don't do that. Okay? If this summer you wanted a shade tree to sit under, when would have been the best time to have planted that tree? 20 years ago. When's the next best day to plant that tree? Today. Plant that tree today. Okay? It's only going to get more expensive tomorrow. It's better to put it in savings. Okay, what's your savings account paying you right now? Huh? What was that? Oh, less than 1%? Less than 0.5%? Some of the life insurance tools are paying 8, 9, 10% historically. And in bad years, they're paying at least 1%. I'm too busy to get covered. My life is busy. I'm too busy being uninsured and not wealthy. Take 30 minutes to get covered. I'm single. I don't need life insurance. Okay. You're single, don't need life insurance. There's nobody in your life that you care about. They didn't have to be birthed by you or through you, but there's nobody in life that you care about enough that you want to see their life better off if something happened to you. Nobody. Okay. And you don't want to spend $50, $25 to have several $100,000 to $1 million worth of coverage out there in case you ever got sick and in an accident in the next 30 years. You could draw on that money that you just leveraged by taking $25, $30, $40 and buying a product with living benefits that you could benefit from. You wouldn't want access to that kind of money. Who else is going to write you a check for $1 million if you were to get sick or laid up? Who's going to do that? I'm single. I don't need life insurance. Okay. Now, two kinds of life insurance, permanent life insurance and term life insurance. What I want to talk to you about for just a second is permanent life insurance. I encourage people, if you can afford it, get with the financial professional to see if this is the best thing for you. Okay, but get with somebody. These are some of the benefits. All life insurance gives you a death benefit, typically tax-free when you die. We talked about living benefits a little bit already. Long-term care. Any of you got anybody getting home health care service? How are they paying for it? Medicaid, Medicare only pay for so much. Even veterans benefits. Long-term care is a way to take your life insurance coverage, turning it to long-term care so you could have a nurse or even a family member provide that kind of care. We have a company that has a concierge service. One phone call to plan a funeral and get your funeral executed. So you don't have to go through all those steps with the funeral home. And they get you your money in 24 hours or less. Person passes away, checks in your account in 24 hours or less, and they'll plan the funeral. Whoa. And all that's wrapped into the cost of the life insurance policy, which is still a competitive price. The money that's growing inside the policy grows tax deferred. And in 99% of the time, you take it out tax-free. Also, the money inside the policies isn't counted against your child's funding for college. And it doesn't affect your effective family contribution that you're going to have to pay. The money that's being saved inside the policy is protected against loss in the market. And you can borrow money from yourself along the way. As money builds up inside the policy, you need to have some money in it to borrow money out. It isn't like, well, what do you mean I don't have any money? I still had checks. So they kept writing checks. You didn't have money. It's not that kind of deal. You need to have money in the policy to pull it out. Okay? Now, We're going to cover this next part real quick. Multi-generational wealth. Okay. Look, all of us have been around for 4 generations. We had parents, we had grandparents, we had great-grandparents. What if there was a $500,000 life insurance policy taken out on the baby at 2 weeks old? That's when your kid should be insured at 2 weeks old. We've got a friend, they've got a child that at 5 years old began to develop some issues. And we've been having a dickens of a time trying to get this child underwritten for insurance. And we're not sure we're going to be able to. And they're 5 years old. They've had some complications. When should you get your loved one insured? 2 weeks old. At 15 days, they can get insured. So let's say each family member did that. All right. This is another reason why families need to stay together and be like-minded. Okay. So each person in the family, the couple, the mom and dad, each have a $500,000 permanent policy. We aren't even going to count the cash that builds up, just the death benefit. And they pay off a home that's $250,000. It's not a fancy house. It's a $250,000 house. That means each family, each couple has a minimum net worth of $1.2 million. There's 7 families in that family unit in those 4 generations. That's almost $9 million. So let me, what does that look like? It looks like this. See, that's my drawing. Come on now. Don't be messing with me. So each couple has a net worth of $1.25 million. Why? 2 $500,000 insurance policies and a $250,000 house. We're not counting cash inside the policies, and we're not counting the house that's growing in value over time. Woo. So this is real conservative. So that's this couple right here. They're married. That doesn't mean they're sleeping in separate bedrooms because they circles is a long way away. That's just for dramatic drawing purposes, y'all. So don't put that out on Twitter. Okay, that's 1.25 million. That's 1.25 million. That couple's 1.25 million. So is that one, that one, that one, that one. Plus, what if all their kids did this and all the married people in there and all their kids? 8.75 will be like a low number. And that policy is going to cost less than $100. Can they afford to do that? Yeah, you betcha. So how many generations would it take for a family to have some serious money? And they start a family foundation where part of all of that money goes in there. Ooh. That's powerful. That's powerful. Think about it now. This is an illustration of somebody having a child at 1 year old, and they're putting $150 away a month. Look what happens. They end up with $1.4 million in there when they're in their late 60s, early 70s. Let me ask you guys a question. How many of you guys know somebody between 60 and 70 that doesn't have $760,000 to $1.4 million cash, tax-free, available to them? And for $150 a month, they could have that. This is the death benefit. If they pass away, they get that. This is the cash. This is the death benefit. This could also be long-term care if they need it. It could be a living benefit if something happened to them and they needed medical treatment or money to live on, etc. Do you understand how much they put away? $150 a month. You know, they can start taking this money out, right? And after several years, they would have taken out all the money they ever put in there. What are you talking about, Gus? That's $1.4 million. These policies grow at an average of about 8%. Can't guarantee that, but it's been about 8% over the last 20 years. What's 8% of $1.4 million? Over $100,000 a year. If you took $100,000 a year out, how long do you think it would take you to get back all the money you ever put into the policy? Because you only put $1,800 a year in it. Even if it was 70 years, that's 125 grand. In 2 years, you would have taken out all the money you ever put in. Year one, year two. Now I got all my money out. Really, in the second part of year two, 18 months in, you would have taken out all the money you ever put in. Then this cash flow stream would have cost you how much money? Zero. It would have cost you zero because you already took all the money out. Is that a good deal or a great deal? I'm just saying. But I'm single. I don't need life insurance. Single person. Do you plan on being 50, 60, or 70? Do you want to have this kind of money in a retirement account that's tax-free? Might consider it. So what do you need to do? Decide to build multi-generational wealth. Decide you're going to do it. Get those 2 books, read them. How Money Works, Power of One More. Decide you're going to do it for your family. Then begin personal development. Work on your wealth mindset, how you think, and then work on your wealth development skills. Do you understand how insurance works? Do you understand how investing works? Do you understand how wills and trusts work? Start working on your skills. Get your family insured. You got income earning adults in your family. Are they insured for 5 to 10 times how much money they make? If not, get them insured. Get your children insured at 15 days old. Everybody in your family, they get a policy. And they get all the adults insured, the older ones too. Now, this isn't advice. Get specific plans from a financial professional. These are things to consider and think about. Okay? That's it. I'm 2 minutes over. But remember, it's Life Insurance Awareness Month. Come on, guys. This is a simple way to build wealth in your family over time. And everybody can afford it. It's not get rich quick, but it is get rich. Okay? Y'all have a great weekend. It's Gus Tucker at Financial Freedom Fridays. Like this, share it, get the word out. Come on. Let's change our families. See, it's power in us families staying together, not breaking up. There's power in us staying together and working together. Y'all feel me? Love you. Bye.